Central since 2008, so I'm now in my 8th year with them. I studied abroad myself in the United States, and I also worked there about 15 years ago. But I think what I've realised is sort of the diversity of the United States culturally, and there is quite a difference between students from the East Coast, West Coast, Midwest. The United States is culturally a very diverse continent.
I've worked for Central for 4 years. I studied abroad myself in Cheltenham, as coming from a small private liberal arts in Kansas. I have learned that no one's study abroad journey is the same, and that everyone has a different experience while they're here, and my job is just to sort of guide people in the direction that that's going and make sure that they have an amazing...
My job is the 80% in the middle of the group. I always say there's 10% of a group of study abroad students who will go out of the way to do things and explore the cities and integrate, and will have a very enriching experience. There are 10% of students who, no matter how hard you try, will sit in their room watching Netflix and not integrate. And my job is, I would say, that middle 80% is to try and support them in achieving their study abroad goals, to have a greater awareness of society in Britain, to have a life-changing, life-affirming experience, and to grow as individuals. So to me, I think we have done our job well if at the end of semester, or possibly 6 months in the future, a student who studied in London can say, I learned a lot about myself, I've learned a lot about the world, I've developed new skills which I can apply for moving forward in my life. And then I know I've done a good job.
I think students can, in my case, gain everything, give them the confidence to say, actually, I think I want to see a whole other part of the world, put myself forward, live in a foreign culture, sometimes even get married and have a baby and live there, and then get a job and study abroad, and then inspire the next generation. How cheesy is that? But I do think everybody who comes here walks away knowing themselves better. And I often personally find that when I work with these students, their journeys are so short. I see them 12 weeks go from often somebody very timid to someone who is a Londoner. And watching their different journeys is always, it's a nice reflection for me to remind myself of where I'm at in my own life journey, and where I was at as a 20-year-old when I came over, and where I'm at as now.
Crikey, how do I follow that? Well, I would agree with Jenna. I suppose it's seeing students. I find it very rewarding to watch students grow over a semester, and you do grow very rapidly from that orientation session at the beginning of the semester, when people sitting there looking, a lot of them look at me like I'm an alien from another planet, to the end of the semester when we have our little Christmas farewell party for you, and seeing how confident students are and outgoing, how much more mature they are than when they first arrived, and I found that wonderful. From a very selfish point of view, what I've found from doing this program has admiration for the United States and for the people, in the sense, as a very specific example, in Britain, people do not volunteer and work in the community to the same degree that students do in the United States. And I'm very inspired by a lot of my students and what they do back home in the United States and how involved in their communities they are. And it's really pushed me into getting involved in community work and volunteering work here myself, because I really admire that about American culture. That's something that I think is a very positive thing. The fall semester tends to be a better balanced mix of students.
And on a far more common level, I think everyone likes to eat, and we do a really good job. I was discussing this morning at an internship site visit, that we like to take people out to dinner because then you get conversation, and everyone likes to get fed, and it's a fun way for Mark and I to kind of check in on people and see how they're doing. You get so busy, especially now, you come back from fall break, and some people we probably, if we didn't do these dinners, we wouldn't see them till finals. So it's a really fun way to kind of touch base. And yes, if you can tell someone they're getting fed a really good meal, might be an exotic meal, there might be vegetables they've never eaten before, and they may have to try a bite because I'm sitting next to them and I adore bullying people to try new foods. But hey, free food. So.